Why, hello there. We made it to another Thursday. It is the last Thursday before Biden's Day, or Let's Go Brandon's Day. That's right, next Monday is going to be President's Day. And with that being said, we have to talk about some world politics that I don't agree with. I don't understand. That's right, US is going to war with Russia. I think my fear is that there's no way to stop this. Biden wants to send a message to Russia, and he's going to start a war with Russia when he doesn't have to. That is right. And yes, the U.S. can stop this at any time. Not Putin, not Ukraine, not the European countries, but the USA can stop this by dialing down the rhetoric. But as we go, Ukraine shelling renews invasion fears as Russia expels U.S. diplomats. Ukraine and pro Russia trade accusations over exchange of fire. Russia's working on false flag incident, Biden says. Zelensky calls shelling a big proclamation. Moscow expels U.S. diplomat over explosion in Washington. More tit for tat. That's right, Moscow. Key, Kyiv, I think is how you pronounce it. I know someone on BitChute corrected me. I'm sorry. Shelling in the Ukraine on Thursday renewed Western's fear as an immediate Russian invasion, as President Joe Biden said Moscow is preparing a pretext to justify a possible attack, and the Kremlin expelled an American diplomat. Early morning exchanges of fire between Kyiv's forces and pro-Russia separatists who have been at war for years, where a ceasefire is periodically violated, caused alarm as Western countries had said an inclusion could come at any time. Wait a minute, they've been at war for several years, and now we're just doing a hyper focus onto it because Biden wants to prove that he's the tough guy, he's the big guy, and he's getting tired of being called weak on Russia. This old man's going to get us to war where no one was going to win. One of the deepest crises in post Cold War relations is playing out in Europe as Russia wants security guarantees, including Kyiv never joining NATO, and that the U.S. allies offer arm controls and confidence building measures. I don't think that's unreasonable. While Russia accuses the West of hysteria, saying that some of the troops have returned to base, and I believe there's satellite proven this, and has no plans to invade, many Western countries, mainly the United States, admit the military buildup is continuing ahead as a possible assault. Russia says it's not going to attack. I'm more likely to believe Putin at his word than our politicians here in Washington. We have reasons to believe that they're engaged in a false flag operation and have an excuse to go in, Brandon told reporters at the White House. Every indication we have is that they're preparing to go into Ukraine and attack Ukraine. But there's no real proof of this other than a military buildup. He ordered Secretary of State Anthony Blinken to change his travel plans at the last minute to speak to the United Nations Security Council meeting where he outlined a possible Russian scenario. It could be fabricated so-called terrorist bombing inside Russia, the invented discovery of mass graves as a staged drone strikes against civilians, or a fake or even a real attack using chemical weapons. Blinken said Russia may describe this event as ethnic cleansing or genocide. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Vershinin said Blinken's comments were regrettably and dangerous, and I 100% agree. I'm very passionate about this, if you haven't noticed, because we do not need to get in a war with Russia. I don't think Russia are our enemies, I know they're not our friends, but they're definitely not our enemies. In a new blow to relations between the two world powers, Russia expels U.S. Deputy Chief of Missouri Bart Goldman. The move was announced Thursday, but the senior State Department official said he left last week. More of a tit for tat. I mean, we've been doing this for decades. Moscow cite that the U.S. expulsion of a senior official in Washington, who it said was forced to leave before a replacement could be found as part of a U.S. visa war. I don't understand what the visa war is. Washington said it would respond to the unprovoked move. Russian diplomats have stayed longer than 3 years, must leave the United States, while Moscow is giving U.S. diplomats less time, a Senate Department spokesperson said. Of course, they say read more, but I'm not going to read. Trading accusations in Ukraine, the Russian-backed rebels and Kyiv forces traded accusations that each had fire across the ceasefire line in eastern Ukraine, where Moscow accuses Kyiv of exterminating civilians. Who knows what's the truth? Should be pretty easy to get some cameras there. If we could film the invasion of Iraq, then we could damn well put some cameras out there. That's all I'm saying. Ukrainian government forces denied accusations of having targeted separatist positions in the breakaway region of Donbass, which borders Russia. Details cannot be established independently, but reports from both sides suggest an incident more serious than the routine ceasefire violations that often reported in the area. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Moscow was seriously concerned about the reports. Russia has long said Kyiv wants an excuse to seize rebel territory by force, which Ukraine denies. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the pro-Russia forces had shelled a kindergarten in which is called a big provocation. Video footage released by Ukrainian police show a hole through a brick wall in a room scattered with debris and children's toys, sending that powerful, powerful message for the children. Some proclamations were planned for today. We expected them and thought that war had begun. Demanto, a resident of the village of Stansiasia Lowinska, told reporters. A Poppy slaughtered that city's name. The separatists, for their part, accused the government forces of opening fire on their territory 4 times in the past 24 hours. Neither account could be verified. Like I said, if we could film, if the news could be there with the invasion of Iraq, and we could put some cameras out there, get some eyes out there. A Reuters photograph in the town of Kavyaka in Ukraine, rebelled held Luhansk region, heard the sounds of some artillery fire from the direction of the line of contact, but was unable to determine details. Yeah, we're almost done here. Estimates are vary as to how many Russian soldiers have massed near the Ukraine. Nearby NATO member of Estonia cited around 170,000 troops on Wednesday. White House Speaker Karine Jean-Pierre said Thursday that Russia has added 7,000 troops to its presence on the Ukrainian border over the past 24 hours. We see them fly in more combat support and support aircraft. We see them sharpen their readiness into the Black Sea, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said at a NATO headquarters in Brussels. We even see them stocking up on their blood supplies. I mean, what if they just want to stock up on blood supplies? I mean, I'm not totally ignorant to the fact that stocking up on blood supplies means that they're expecting casualties during an invasion. I'm not ignorant to that fact. But I think Putin is just flexing, and Brandon is taking the bait. Russia's defense ministry released a video said it showed more units leaving the area near the border. Maxar Technology, a private U.S. company, had been tracking the buildup and said the satellite images show that while Russia has pulled back some of the military equipment near Ukraine, other hardware has arrived. I mean, you got Biden on a warpath. It'll make most people, I'm not going to say, it'll make most people alarmed. Because when he said that we're going to leave Afghanistan at a certain date and he would not move, so that means when his mind is made up, I'm not saying Putin is in the wrong for building up a military conflict, a military presence to prevent an invasion of his country. That's what real leaders do. Not our fake president that's leaving the southern border unprotected. As diplomatic efforts continue, Russia says that securing demands are still being ignored. Why don't you listen to Russia? In the absence of readiness of American side to agree on firm, legal binding guarantees on our security from the United States and its allies, Russia will be forced to respond, including through implementations of military technical measures, it said in a letter to the U.S. ambassador. Blinken said Washington was evaluating the document and that he had earlier sent a letter to Russia Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov proposing a meeting between the pair in Europe as well as NATO, Russian Council, and the OSCE Permit Council. These meetings can pave a way for a summit of key leaders, he said. And here's Secretary Blinken. I'm not going to play it. The Russian government can announce today, with no qualification, evacuation, or deflection that Russia will not invade Ukraine. That's right. He has the gall to say that I respond the U.S. can end this at any time it wants. This is a European issue, and they need to solve it themselves. Biden needs to focus on our southern border. That's right. I said it. Focus on our southern border. We do not want war with Russia. Russia is a first world country with a first world military. It's not some flip-flopping, I don't know what the attire, but I'm just going to call it dress. No insult intended. Person with an AK and an RPG. These people are military trained, military ready, and nobody has been able to technically defeat them. Napoleon tried to defeat Russia and got stumped. Germany tried to defeat Russia and got stomped. That's right. There has not been a successful invasion of Russia. Now, I say this with 100% confidence that I do believe America can conquer Russia. But the caveat to that is America will not be able to keep Russia. Because the people of Russia will fight back in a way that we have not seen. And I'll also say this with 100% confidence Russia could probably take America, but Russia will not be able to keep America for the exact same reason. Now, I don't think Russia has any desire to invade the United States, and we should not have any desire to go to war with Russia. That's right. We should not go to war with Russia. Nobody should go to war with Russia unless it's absolutely deemed the last possible thing. We should listen to Putin. This is not me saying that I'm a supporter of Putin. Russia has its own issues. But if we're going to ignore Russia and their needs or their demands and just ignore them, we're no better than Putin and his dictator-esque ways. Even though I don't really think he's a dictator, but I do think he cares about his country. I think he wants to see his country back into the glory as the USSR. But unfortunately, we are getting in the way. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think he wants to see that glory return, and he wants to be the person to return it. They are a very proud people, just like Americans are very proud. and we shouldn't listen to them and probably concede on certain things. What those things are, I can't say. I don't know. But U.S. can stop this at any time. Our president can stop the rhetoric. But I do believe that Biden wants war with Russia because he is stuck in the Cold War era, along with half of the people in Washington. Most of those people that are in Washington were voted during the Cold War era, and they're still there. That's the issue when we get old people running the country because they're stuck in their ways and they're probably a little bit demented, thinking it's still the cold era, and the USSR is still the primary threat when they should never have been a threat in the beginning. And I blame Churchill for that. But that's another topic for another time. With that being said, leave a comment down below. What are your thoughts about the US and Russia war that's going to happen? I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm predicting probably by the end of the year we'll probably be in war unless Biden gets some sense slapped into him. But leave a comment down below what your thoughts are. Smash the like and subscribe on every other platform or just the platform that you're currently watching. But most importantly, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.